one signature. That was the only thing standing between Liam Prescott and the lifestyle he felt he deserved. He spent 10 years climbing the ladder of Hollywood's most cutthroat production studio, convinced that his brilliance was the sole reason for his success. He thought his wife, Madeline, was just a quiet, supportive partner who managed a small portfolio of family investments, boring, safe, and completely detached from his glittering world of red carpets and A-list affairs. He treated her like an accessory he had outgrown, but Liam made a fatal miscalculation. He didn't check who signed his paychecks. He didn't check who sat at the head of the board. And he certainly didn't know that the boring woman he was about to divorce for a famous actress wasn't just his wife. She was his boss. The air inside the Sunset Tower Hotel smelled of expensive gardenias, spilled champagne, and desperation. It was the annual pre-Oscars gala hosted by Helix Studios, the media conglomerate that currently held the reins of Hollywood. Liam Prescott adjusted his Tom Ford tuxedo jacket, checking his reflection in the darkened window. He looked the part. At 38, he was the senior VP of development at Helix. He was handsome in a sharp, predatory way, with a jawline that could cut glass and eyes that were always scanning the room for someone more important than the person he was currently talking to. Tonight, the person he was ignoring was his wife, Madeline. Madeline stood by the high-top table, nursing a club soda. She wore a simple, elegant navy gown. It was vintage Dior, understated and classic. But in a room full of sequin naked dresses and feathers, she looked invisible, which was exactly how she liked it. "Liam," she said softly, touching his arm. "Are you sure we have to stay late? The babysitter charges double after midnight." Liam flinched away from her touch, taking a sip of his scotch. He didn't look at her. "Madeline, please. This is work. I'm not here to party. I'm here to secure the slate for Q3. If you want to go, take an Uber. I have to find Arthur." Arthur Penhaligon was the CEO of Helix Studios, a terrifying British man in his 60s who chewed executives up and spat them out. Liam was terrified of him, yet desperate for his validation. "I haven't seen Arthur yet," Madeline noted, her eyes scanning the crowd with a sharpness Liam never noticed. "He's usually near the kitchen entrance. He hates the noise." Liam laughed, a dry, condescending sound. "Babe, you don't know Arthur. You've met him once at the Christmas party. He's probably in the VIP section with the talent. Look, just go sit over there. I need to network." He didn't wait for an answer. He slipped into the crowd, moving toward the flash of cameras near the bar. Madeline watched him go. Her expression didn't change, but her grip on the glass tightened slightly. She didn't go to the corner. Instead, she took a slow sip of her drink and watched her husband navigate the room. She watched him bypass the directors and the writers. She watched him make a beeline for a booth upholstered in red velvet, where a woman was holding court. Sienna Blake. Sienna was the it girl of the moment, 24, blonde, with a laugh that sounded like wind chimes, and a reputation that sounded like a car crash. She had just starred in a blockbuster rom-com, and was hungry for a serious drama role to secure a nomination. Madeline watched as Liam slid into the booth next to Sienna. He didn't look like a senior VP discussing Q3 slates. He looked like a lovesick teenager. He leaned in close, whispering something in her ear. Sienna threw her head back and laughed, her hand coming to rest possessively on Liam's knee. It wasn't a friendly touch. It was a claim. Madeline felt a cold knot tighten in her stomach. She had suspected it for months, the late nights, the sudden business trips to Cabo, the new passcode on his phone. But seeing it here, in the middle of the company she built, was a different kind of insult. A waiter passed by with a tray of hors d'oeuvres. Madeline flagged him down. "Excuse me," she said. Her voice was quiet, but it carried an authority that made the waiter stop instantly. "Is Arthur Penhaligon here?" "Yes, ma'am." "Mr. Penhaligon is in the green room. He asked not to be disturbed. He'll want to see me," Madeline said, placing her empty glass on his tray. The waiter looked hesitant. "I'm sorry, who should I say is asking?" "Tell him M.V. is here." The waiter's eyes widened slightly. He nodded and hurried away. 10 minutes later, Madeline was walking through the kitchen service corridor, away from the noise of the party. She pushed open the heavy oak door to the green room. Arthur Penhaligon, the man Liam was so desperate to impress, was sitting on a sofa, loosening his tie. When he saw Madeline, he didn't scowl. He stood up immediately, buttoning his jacket out of respect. "Madeline," Arthur said, his British accent thick with relief. "Thank God. I thought I was going to have to listen to another pitch about a superhero reboot. Please tell me you're here to fire me so I can retire to the Cotswolds." Madeline didn't smile. She walked to the sidebar and poured herself a whiskey. Neat. "Not yet, Arthur. We have a problem." Arthur's demeanor shifted from friendly to sharp. "Is it the merger?" "Because the lawyers said." "It's not the merger," Madeline said, turning to face him. "It's Liam." Arthur sighed. "Ah, your husband. He's been aggressive lately. He's pushing a project. The Glass Tower. He wants to acquire the script for $20 million. It's a vanity project." "I know," Madeline said. "He left the script on his nightstand. It's garbage, but that's not the issue. The issue is who he wants to cast." "Sienna Blake," Arthur said, nodding. "He's been lobbying for her all week. Says she's the next Meryl Streep." Arthur rolled his eyes. "She's a TikTok star with a good lighting team. He's sleeping with her." "Arthur." The room went silent. The hum of the refrigerator was the only sound. Arthur looked at Madeline, seeing the pain behind her stoic expression. "I'm sorry, Mads," he said softly. "He's doing it publicly," Madeline continued, her voice hardening. "Out there, at the company gala. He thinks I'm just the little wife who manages a trust fund. He thinks you're the boss." "To be fair," Arthur said with a wry smile, "I am the CEO. I do the shouting. And I'm the chairman of the board and the majority shareholder," Madeline reminded him. "My father left Helix to me, Arthur. Not my cousins, not my brother. Me, I put you in charge because I wanted a life. I wanted a family." She took a sip of the whiskey. "I wanted a husband who loved me for me, not for the empire attached to my name. So I never told him. I kept the name Van on all the legal documents. I let him think I was just Madeline Prescott, housewife." "And now?" Arthur asked. Madeline walked to the window, looking out at the glittering lights of Los Angeles. "Now, he's trying to use my money company money to buy his mistress a career. He wants to greenlight a $20 million movie for Sienna Blake." She turned back to Arthur. Her eyes were dry, cold, and dangerous. "Let him do it." Arthur blinked. "Excuse me?" "Let him believe he has the green light," Madeline said. "Let him think he's won. I want him to sign the contracts. I want him to book the venues. I want him to think he is the king of Hollywood." "Madeline, that's going to cost the studio. I'll cover the losses personally if I have to," she cut him off. "But he won't get that far. He has a performance review coming up, doesn't he? The annual executive board meeting?" "Next Friday," Arthur confirmed. "Top floor, the glass room." "Good," Madeline said. "Invite him. Tell him he's going to present his slate to the silent partners. Tell him the owner will be there to sign off on the Sienna Blake project personally." Arthur smiled, a slow, wicked grin spreading across his face. "He's never met the owner. He thinks it's some faceless hedge fund in Zurich." "Exactly," Madeline said, placing her glass down. "It's time he met his wife." The week following the gala was a masterclass in deception. Liam came home late every night, smelling of vanilla perfume and arrogance. He was vibrating with energy, the kind of manic confidence that comes from thinking you've gotten away with murder. Madeline played her part perfectly. She cooked dinner. She asked about his day. She washed his shirts, checking the pockets for receipts she already knew existed. Dinners at Nobu, a bracelet from Cartier, a suite at the Four Seasons. On Tuesday night, Liam sat at the kitchen island, furiously typing on his laptop. "Big news, babe," he said, not looking up. Arthur finally caved. "He's letting me pitch the Glass Tower to the board on Friday. This is it. This is the one that puts me in the C-suite." Madeline was chopping vegetables for a salad. The knife hit the cutting board with a rhythmic thud, thud, Thud. That's wonderful, Liam. Is that the one with Sienna Blake? Liam stopped typing for a split second. Yeah. She's attached. Why? No reason, Madeline said innocently. I just saw the photos of you two in Variety. You looked very close. Liam spun around on the stool, his face flushing with anger. Don't start this, Madeline. It's PR. We have to sell the chemistry. That's how the business works. You wouldn't understand. I suppose not, Madeline said, scraping the carrots into a bowl. I just manage the household budget, right? Exactly, Liam said, turning back to his screen. Stick to your mutual funds. Leave the movie making to me. If he had turned around, he would have seen the dark amusement in Madeline's eyes. The next day, Madeline drove her beat-up Volvo to a nondescript office building in Century City. This was the headquarters of Van Holdings, the parent company of Helix Studios. She took the private elevator to the penthouse. When the doors opened, the atmosphere was very different from the chaotic creative energy of the studio lot. Here, it was quiet luxury, marble floors, modern art, and silence. Her assistant, a sharp young woman named Chloe, was waiting with a stack of files. Good morning, Miss Van, Chloe said. The lawyers are ready in conference room B. We have the forensic accounting report on Mr. Prescott's corporate card usage. Thank you, Chloe. Madeline walked into the conference room. 3 lawyers in gray suits stood up. On the table was a thick binder. Give me the highlights, Madeline said. Sitting at the head of the table, the lead attorney, a man named Sterling, no wait, let's call him Harrison, cleared his throat. It's not good, Miss Van. Or, well, it's good for your divorce case, bad for his employment. Mr. Prescott has charged approximately $150,000 to the company account in the last 3 months. Private jets, jewelry, hotel rooms. He's listed them as talent acquisition costs. Madeline flipped through the binder. There were receipts for a diamond tennis bracelet, a weekend in Napa, even a down payment on a Porsche lease registered in Sienna Blake's name. He's stupid, Madeline whispered. He's so arrogant, he didn't even try to hide it. He assumes no one audits the VP-level accounts until the end of the fiscal year, Harrison said. And usually, he'd be right. But since you ordered a spot check, what about the prenup? Madeline asked. Ironclad, Harrison confirmed. He waived rights to any assets acquired before the marriage and any business assets derived from your inheritance. However, he might try to argue that he contributed to the growth of Helix Studios during the marriage. Madeline laughed. He greenlit Space War 4. We lost $50 million on that. Exactly. Harrison smiled. We have the performance metrics prepared. He's statistically the worst performing executive in the company's history. If you fire him for cause embezzlement and gross negligence, he walks away with nothing. Not even his severance. Madeline closed the binder. Draft the papers. But don't serve them yet. Bring them to the board meeting on Friday. I want him to sign the project contract first. Why? Harrison asked, confused. If he signs the contract for Sienna's movie, the studio is liable. Because, Madeline said, her eyes gleaming, the contract for the glass tower has a morality clause. If the producer is found to be in a sexual relationship with the lead talent without disclosing it to HR, the project is voided. And the producer is personally liable for the development costs. Harrison's jaw dropped. You want to saddle him with the debt? I want to bury him, Madeline said calmly. He wants to be a big-shot producer? Let him produce his own buyout. Thursday night was the premiere of a different movie, but Liam insisted on going. He wanted to parade Sienna around. He told Madeline he was going with the team. Madeline stayed home. She went into Liam's home office. It was a mess of scripts and awards he had won as part of a team, though he displayed them as if they were solo achievements. She opened his laptop. He hadn't changed his password. Sienna 2024. She opened his email. There was a draft folder. Inside was an email addressed to a divorce attorney. Subject, options regarding M. Body. I need to know how much I can get. She has family money, but she's never worked a real day in her life. I've supported her lifestyle for 10 years. I want the house in Malibu and half the portfolio. Also, I need this done quietly before the Sienna news breaks. Madeline read it twice. She didn't cry. The sadness had evaporated days ago, replaced by a cold, hard resolve. He claimed to support her lifestyle. She paid the mortgage. She paid for the cars. She quietly transferred money into his account whenever he overspent, marking it as dividends so his ego wouldn't bruise. She had built a cushion of lies to protect his fragile masculinity, and he was using it to suffocate her. She took a picture of the screen with her phone. Then she deleted the draft. "You want the house?" she whispered to the empty room. "You won't even have a car to sleep in." Friday morning arrived with a suffocating gray haze over Los Angeles, the kind of June gloom that usually burned off by noon. But inside Liam Prescott's mind, the sun was already shining. This was his coronation day. He stood in front of the full-length mirror in the master bedroom, adjusting the knot of his silk tie. It was a new tie, a Hermes print that cost more than the average person's monthly car payment. He had charged it to the studio, categorizing it under wardrobe for talent. After all, he was the talent today. Madeline was still in bed, pretending to be asleep. She watched him through half-closed eyelids. She saw the way he preened, the way he practiced his humble smile in the mirror, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Liam?" she murmured, feigning grogginess. "Are you leaving already?" He didn't turn around. "Big day, Mads, I told you. Board meeting. I'll be late tonight. Don't wait up." "Good luck," she whispered. "I have a feeling you're going to get exactly what you deserve." He chuckled, grabbing his leather briefcase. "I always do." He walked out the door without kissing her goodbye. He didn't see her throw off the covers the moment the front door clicked shut. He didn't see her walk to the closet, bypassing her usual cardigans and sensible slacks. Instead, she reached into the back, pulling out a garment bag that hadn't been opened in 5 years. Inside was a structured, white Alexander McQueen power suit. Sharp, architectural, and terrifyingly elegant. It was the kind of suit a woman wore when she was about to go to war. Helix Studios was buzzing. The rumors had spread that a major shakeup was coming. The lower-level employees whispered in the break rooms, wondering if they were getting new management or if the studio was being sold. Liam walked through the lobby like he owned the place. He waved dismissively at the receptionist. He took the elevator straight to the top floor, the executive level. The conference room, known as the glass room, was an imposing space. 3 walls were floor-to-ceiling glass, offering a panoramic view of the Hollywood Hills. The 4th wall was lined with awards, Oscars, Emmys, Golden Globes. When Liam entered, the room was already full. Arthur Penhaligon sat at the right hand of the head of the table. To his left were the key board members: Harrison, the lawyer; Elias Thorne, the chief financial officer; and a few silent partners from the investment firms. The head chair, the chairman's seat, was empty. "Gentlemen," Liam said, flashing his winning smile. He set his laptop down and connected it to the main screen. "Thank you for gathering. I know Arthur has briefed you on the potential of the Glass Tower, but I'm here to tell you why this isn't just a movie. It's a franchise. It's a universe." Arthur nodded slowly. "Proceed, Liam." Liam launched into his pitch. He was good. Undeniably good. He spun a web of potential profits, merchandising opportunities, and international distribution rights. He spoke with passion and fervor. "And the key," Liam said, clicking a slide to reveal a stunning, professionally retouched photo of Sienna Blake, "is the star. Sienna isn't just an actress. She is a cultural moment. She captures the demographic we've been missing, the 1-8 to 3-4 bracket. She is young. She is vibrant. And she is willing to sign a 3-picture deal at a fraction of the cost of an established A-lister." "Is she?" Elias asked, his voice dry. "Because her agent sent over a writer that demands a $2 million signing bonus and a percentage of the gross." Liam waved his hand. "Negotiation tactics. I can handle her. I have a unique rapport with Miss Blake. She trusts my vision." "I bet she does," Arthur muttered, though Liam didn't catch the sarcasm. "The point is," Liam continued, pacing the room, Helix Studios has been stagnant. We've been playing it safe. We've been relying on the old guard. No offense, Arthur, but we need fresh blood. We need to take risks. And frankly, we need leadership that understands the modern landscape. The current ownership. Well, they're invisible, aren't they? Who even are they? Some trust fund kids in Connecticut? They don't know Hollywood. The room went dead silent. Liam paused, thinking he had stunned them with his boldness. I'm saying, give me this project. Let me prove that I can lead this studio into the next decade. The Glass Tower will be my flagship. It's certainly an ambitious proposal, Harrison said, looking down at his papers. But there is the matter of the budget approval. The chairman has requested to sign off on this personally. Liam frowned. The chairman? I thought the chairman was a silent partner. Not today, Arthur said, checking his watch. In fact, the chairman should be here right now. The heavy double doors at the back of the room opened. The sound of sharp, rhythmic clicking echoed on the marble floor. Click, click, click. Liam turned around, annoyed at the interruption. He expected an old man in a suit, maybe a foreign investor. Instead, a woman walked in. She was wearing a white suit that looked like it had been carved from marble. Her hair, usually pulled back in a messy bun, was blown out straight and sleek. She wore dark sunglasses, which she removed slowly as she approached the table. Liam blinked. His brain couldn't process the image. It looked like Madeline. But it couldn't be Madeline. Madeline was at home in her pajamas. Madeline was soft. Madeline was boring. This woman was terrifying. Sorry I'm late, Madeline said. Her voice wasn't the soft, accommodating tone Liam was used to. It was lower, steely, and commanded absolute attention. Traffic on the 405 was a nightmare. Liam laughed. It was a nervous, high-pitched sound. Mads, what? What are you doing here? He looked at Arthur, then back at his wife. Babe, you can't be in here. This is a closed board meeting. Security. He reached for the phone on the conference table. Arthur's hand shot out and clamped over Liam's wrist. Put the phone down, Liam. Arthur, she's confused. Liam hissed. She's my wife. She must have followed me. She's not well. He looked at Madeline with a mix of pity and anger. Honey, go wait in the car. I'll be done in 20 minutes. Madeline ignored him completely. She walked past him. The scent of her perfume, something musky and expensive, not the lavender soap she used at home, filling his nostrils. She walked to the head of the table. The empty chair. She placed her purse on the table. Arthur, she said, nodding to the CEO. Harrison, Elias. Good to see you all. Good morning, Miss Van. The entire room chorused in unison. Liam froze. Miss Van? Van, Liam whispered. That's your maiden name. It's my legal name, Madeline corrected, finally turning to look at him. Her eyes were cold, devoid of the affection he had taken for granted for a decade. And it's the name on the building, Liam. She sat down in the chairman's seat. She spun the chair slightly to face him. Sit down, Liam, she ordered. I don't understand, Liam stammered, his legs giving way as he collapsed into the nearest chair. You own Helix? I own Helix, Madeline said calmly. I own Van Holdings. I own the building we are sitting in. I own the parking garage where you parked your car. And, until 5 minutes ago, I own the illusion that my husband was a decent man. She gestured to Harrison. The file, please. The silence in the glass room was heavy enough to crush bones. Liam sat there, his mouth slightly open, looking from Arthur to Madeline. The power dynamic had shifted so violently he felt like he had whiplash. Harrison slid a thick black binder across the polished mahogany table. It stopped inches from Liam's hands. What is this? Liam whispered. That, Madeline said, leaning back in her chair and steepling her fingers, is an itemized list of every cent you have stolen from me in the last fiscal year. Stolen? Liam's face went red. I haven't stolen anything. These are business expenses. Development costs. Open it to page 4, Madeline commanded. Liam's trembling fingers opened the binder. Page 4 was a spreadsheet, highlighted in neon yellow. Item 402. Madeline read from her own copy. February 14th. The Hotel Bel Air. The Presidential Suite. $3,000 for one night. Plus room service. Champagne, oysters, strawberries. She paused. I was at home that night, Liam. I made lasagna. You told me you were in a late shoot for the sci-fi pilot. Liam swallowed hard. That was a meeting. With a director. With Sienna Blake, Madeline corrected. She tapped a button on the console in front of her. The screen behind her, which had been displaying Liam's pitch deck, flickered. A photo appeared. It was grainy, taken from a distance, but unmistakable. Liam and Sienna, on the balcony of the Bel Air, wrapped in a hotel robe, kissing. Is this part of the director's cut? Madeline asked dryly. The board members didn't laugh. They looked at the table, embarrassed for him. This is illegal, Liam sputtered. You had me followed? This is an invasion of privacy. You used a company credit card to pay for the room, Liam. Harrison interjected smoothly. By company bylaws, Section 8, subsection C, any usage of corporate funds for illicit or personal activities grants the company the right to investigate and audit all associated behaviors. You signed that waiver when you took the job. Madeline flipped a page. Page 10. The jewelry. A diamond necklace from Tiffany's. $12,000. Charged to costume department. She reached into her purse and pulled out a small velvet box. She tossed it onto the table. It slid across and hit Liam's binder. I found that in your gym bag, she said. I assume you were waiting for her birthday next week to give it to her. Liam looked at the box. He couldn't speak. And finally, Madeline said, her voice dropping an octave, becoming dangerous. The project. The Glass Tower. It's a good movie, Liam insisted, finding a shred of his old bravado. It will make millions. You can't deny the script is solid. The script is fine, Madeline agreed. But the contract you negotiated with Sienna Blake isn't. She signaled to Elias. Mr. Prescott, Elias said, adjusting his glasses. You drafted a pay-or-play deal for Miss Blake, meaning, even if the movie isn't made, she gets her full fee of $5 million. Standard for a star of her caliber, Liam argued. Not standard, Elias corrected. When the producer you has failed to disclose a conflict of interest. Because you are sleeping with the talent, and because you attempted to hide the relationship while negotiating financial terms favorable to her and detrimental to the studio, you have committed corporate fraud. Madeline leaned forward. Do you know what the penalty for that is, Liam? Liam shook his head, sweat dripping down his temple. The Morality and Fiduciary Duty Clause, Madeline said. It states that if an executive causes financial loss due to gross negligence or fraud, they are personally liable for the damages. She smiled, a cold, terrifying smile. We aren't making the movie, Liam. I'm killing the Glass Tower, effective immediately. Liam gasped. You can't. It's my career. It's dead, Madeline said. But because you signed that pay-or-play contract this morning, I saw the DocuSign notification come through at 8 a.m. The studio now owes Sienna Blake $5 million. She paused for effect. Or rather, you owe the studio $5 million. Liam stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. I don't have $5 million. You know I don't. I know, Madeline said softly. But you have assets. Well, we have assets. Or we did. She pulled a second document from her file. This is a petition for divorce, she said. I filed it an hour ago. My lawyers have already requested an emergency freeze on our joint accounts due to your dissipation of marital assets for your affair. You froze the money? Liam looked wild-eyed. I froze my money, Madeline said. The prenup you signed 10 years ago? The one you didn't read because you thought I was a poor nobody? It says that any debt incurred by one party's misconduct remains their sole responsibility. That $5 million you owe Helix? That's yours, Liam. The house? Mine. The cars? Leased in the company name. Repossessed as of this afternoon. Liam looked around the room. He looked at Arthur, the man he had tried to impress for years. "Arthur, please," Liam begged. "You know me. I'm a good producer. We can fix this. I'll break it off with Sienna. I'll do anything." Arthur looked at him with genuine pity. "Liam, you didn't just cheat on your wife. You tried to steal from the owner of the company. There is no coming back from that." Arthur pressed a button on the intercom. Security to the glass room. 2 large men in dark suits entered immediately. They had been waiting. "Liam Prescott," Madeline said, her voice final. "You are terminated effective immediately. Please hand over your company phone, your laptop, and your badge." "Madeline, don't do this," Liam pleaded, his voice cracking. He looked small now, stripped of his arrogance. "I love you. We can go to counseling. I made a mistake. A stupid mistake." Madeline stood up. She walked around the table until she was standing right in front of him. She looked down at him, her eyes searching his face for any sign of the man she had once loved. "You didn't make a mistake, Liam," she said quietly, so only he could hear. "You made a choice. You chose her. You chose the fame. You chose the lie." She reached out and plucked the security badge from his lapel. "And now," she whispered, "you can go live in it." She turned her back on him. "Get him out of my sight." The security guards grabbed Liam by the arms. He didn't fight. He was too in shock. As they dragged him out of the room, he looked back one last time. He saw Madeline Van, the woman he had ignored and belittled, standing at the head of the table, surrounded by the most powerful men in Hollywood, listening as they waited for her next command. The doors closed, shutting him out of the world he thought he ruled. Liam was escorted to the curb of the studio lot. They didn't even let him go to his office to get his personal effects. A junior assistant brought a cardboard box down to him. It contained a framed photo of his dog, which Madeline had actually taken care of, and a half-empty bottle of cologne. He stood on the sidewalk, blinking in the harsh California sun. He reached for his pocket to call an Uber. His pockets were empty. They had taken his company phone. He reached for his wallet. He had his personal credit card, an Amex black card he was so proud of. He walked to the nearest ATM at a bank across the street. He inserted the card. Transaction declined. "Please contact your financial institution." He tried his debit card. Access denied. Account frozen by court order. He stood there, staring at the screen. He had no car, no phone, no money. And he was $5 million in debt. Suddenly, a sleek convertible pulled up to the curb. A red Porsche. It was Sienna. Liam's heart leaped. She had come for him. She must have heard. She would help him. They were in love, right? He ran over to the car. "Sienna, thank God. You won't believe what happened. Madeline, she's insane. She owns the studio. She fired me." Sienna lowered her sunglasses. She didn't look sympathetic. She looked annoyed. "I heard," she said, checking her reflection in the rearview mirror. "My agent just called. He said the movie is dead." "Yeah, but we can take it elsewhere," Liam said, grasping at straws. "I'm a free agent now. We can go to Paramount. We can go to Netflix." Sienna laughed. It was a cruel sound. "Liam, you're toxic. You're being sued for fraud. No one is going to touch you. And honestly, I can't be seen with a liability. But what about us?" Liam asked, reaching for her hand. Sienna pulled her hand away as if he were contagious. "Us? Liam, you were my producer. That was the arrangement. You get me the role, I get you the clout. If you can't get me the role, you're just a 40-year-old guy with a bad prenup." She put the car in gear. "Good luck, Liam," she said. "I hear Uber is hiring." She sped off, leaving him in a cloud of exhaust. Liam stood alone on the corner of Sunset Boulevard. The billboards overhead loomed large, advertising movies he would never make, starring people who would never speak to him again. He had wanted a life of drama. He had wanted a life of twists. He had gotten exactly what he wanted. The sun set over Los Angeles, turning the smog into a bruised purple bruise across the horizon. For the first time in 10 years, Liam Prescott was walking. He wasn't walking to a valet stand or a VIP entrance. He was walking because he had no other choice. His Italian leather loafers, designed for boardrooms and red carpets, were blistering his heels as he trudged down Sunset Boulevard. He had walked 3 miles from the studio lot. Every time a luxury car passed, he flinched, expecting to see a colleague, a rival, or worse, Madeline laughing at him from behind tinted glass. He needed a plan. He needed cash. He stopped outside a trendy bar in West Hollywood, a place he used to frequent with his inner circle. He patted his jacket pocket. He still had his platinum money clip, engraved with his initials, though it was empty of cash. But he had his contact list memorized, because Madeline had taken his phone. He borrowed a phone from a sympathetic hostess who recognized him vaguely as that guy who dated Sienna Blake. "I just need to make one call," Liam said, flashing a charming smile that felt brittle on his face. "My battery died." He dialed Josh. Josh was his college roommate, his best man, and a fellow executive at a rival network. Josh would help. Josh owed him. Liam had covered for Josh during his divorce last year. Ring. 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 "Hello? Josh. It's Liam. Listen, man, the craziest thing happened. Madeline went nuclear. She owns Helix. Can you believe it? She fired me. Locked my accounts. I'm on the street." There was a long pause on the other end. "Liam?" Josh's voice was cold. "Don't call this number again." "What, Josh? It's me. I need a place to crash for a night, just until I get my lawyers on this." "You don't get it, do you?" Josh hissed. "Madeline Van called me 10 minutes ago. She called everyone. Liam. She's the majority shareholder in the parent company that just bought out my network's distribution arm. She is my boss's boss's boss now. If I'm seen helping you, I'm done. I have a mortgage, Liam. I'm not losing it for you. But we're brothers," Liam pleaded, his voice cracking. "We were drinking buddies," Josh corrected. "And frankly, everyone always knew you were a fraud. We just tolerated you because you signed the checks. Goodbye, Liam." The line went dead. Liam stared at the phone. The hostess took it back gently. "Sir, you have to buy something or leave." He left. By 9 p.m., hunger was gnawing at his stomach. He hadn't eaten since his morning protein shake. He found himself in a part of town he usually only saw in gritty police procedurals, a pawn shop strip near downtown. He walked into a shop with bars on the windows. The smell of stale cigarettes and desperation hit him instantly. He took off his watch, a Patek Philippe. It was a gift from Madeline for their 5th anniversary. He remembered how he had barely looked at it when she gave it to him, complaining that the face was too small. He slammed it on the counter. "How much?" The pawnbroker, a man with grease under his fingernails, looked at the watch through a loop. $5,000. $5,000? Liam shouted. "This is a Patek. It's worth 80,000 retail." "It's worth what I can sell it for quickly without asking questions," the man said, bored. "And considering I saw your face on TMZ an hour ago with the headline 'Hollywood exec embezzles millions,' I'm taking a risk just talking to you. $4,000. You said 5. $3,000. Take it or leave it." Liam clenched his jaw. He wanted to scream. He wanted to throw the watch through the glass case. But his stomach growled. "Fine." He spat. He walked out with $3,000 in dirty $100 bills. It was more cash than most people saw in a month, but to Liam, it felt like pocket change. It was a lifeline. He checked into a motel 2 blocks away. It cost $80 a night. The sheets were thin, the carpet was sticky, and the neon sign outside buzzed with a maddening zzz. Liam sat on the edge of the sagging bed. He turned on the small television. The local news was on. Shockwaves in Hollywood today as Helix Studios announced a major restructuring. Longtime executive Liam Prescott was terminated for cause amidst allegations of financial misconduct. In a surprise move, the reclusive owner of the studio, Madeline Van, has stepped forward to take over day-to-day operations. Industry analysts are praising the move, citing stock prices jumping 12%. The screen cut to a clip of Madeline walking out of the studio. She looked radiant. Strong. She was wearing the white suit. A reporter shoved a microphone in her face. Miss Van, any comment on your husband? Madeline stopped. She looked directly into the camera. Liam felt like she was looking right through the motel TV screen and into his soul. Mr. Prescott is no longer associated with Helix, she said coolly. We are focusing on integrity moving forward. We are clearing out the dead weight to make room for real talent. She got into a waiting black SUV. Liam threw the remote at the TV. It cracked the screen, creating a spiderweb fracture over Madeline's face. He fell back onto the bed, staring at the water-stained ceiling. He was dead weight. He was a footnote in her success story. But as the shock wore off, a new feeling replaced it. Rage. Pure, unadulterated rage. She had humiliated him. She had stolen his life. She had played him for a fool for 10 years, hiding her wealth, testing him like a lab rat. You think you've won? He whispered to the buzzing neon light. You haven't seen anything yet, Mads. I know where the bodies are buried. He didn't sleep that night. He spent the hours pacing the small room, plotting. He had $3,000. He could hire a lawyer, not a good one, but a hungry one. He would sue her. He would expose her secrets. He would burn Helix Studios to the ground if he couldn't rule it. 2 weeks later, Liam sat in a strip mall office in Reseda. The sign on the door said Fletcher and Associates, personal injury, divorce, and criminal defense. The associates appeared to be a cat sleeping on a filing cabinet. Fletcher was a man who looked like he sweated grease. He wore a suit that was 2 sizes too big and smelled of cheap cologne. But he was listening. So let me get this straight, Fletcher said, leaning back in his creaky chair. She owns the company, but she never told you? And she used her position to entrap you into a contract that put you in debt? Exactly, Liam said, leaning forward. He was wearing a suit he had bought at a thrift store. It was polyester and itched. It's entrapment. It's financial abuse. She hid assets during the marriage. That voids the prenup, right? Fletcher chewed on the end of a pen. Technically, if she failed to disclose significant assets during the signing of the prenuptial agreement, we could argue that the contract was signed under false pretenses. It's a fraud in the inducement claim. Yes, Liam slammed his hand on the desk. Fraud. That's it. She's the fraud, not me. She pretended to be a housewife while she was running a billion-dollar empire. And, Fletcher continued, his eyes lighting up with dollar signs, if we can prove she orchestrated your firing to avoid paying you a divorce settlement, we have a wrongful termination suit. We could sue for emotional distress, defamation, and lost future earnings. I want half, Liam said coldly. I want half the studio. I want half the trust fund. I want her to write me a check so big her hand shakes. Fletcher grinned. Mr. Prescott, for a $5,000 retainer, I will serve her with a lawsuit so thick it'll clog her shredder. Liam handed over the rest of his pawn shop money and the last of his cash he had borrowed from a loan shark he met at the motel. He was all in. The lawsuit hit the trades like a bomb. Former XX sues studio head wife for $500 million. Liam felt a surge of triumph. He was back in the headlines. He gave interviews to tabloid blogs, spinning a tale of a manipulative wife who used him as a puppet and then discarded him when he asked for a raise. He painted himself as the victim of a power-hungry tyrant. For a moment, the public wavered. People love a fall from grace, but they also love a scandal. Was Madeline Van really a monster? A week later, Liam received a summons. A deposition. Madeline's lawyers wanted to meet. They want to settle, Fletcher told him, rubbing his hands together. They're scared. They don't want this going to court. It's bad PR. Liam smirked. I told you. She breaks easily. She hates conflict. That's why she hid for 10 years. The meeting was set at a neutral location, a mediation center in downtown LA. Liam walked in with Fletcher. He felt confident. He had shaved, slicked back his hair, and put on his best arrogant face. Madeline was already there. She sat at a long table, flanked by Harrison, the high-powered attorney from the board meeting, and 2 other lawyers who looked like they cost more per hour than Fletcher made in a year. Madeline didn't look scared. She looked bored. She was checking emails on her phone. Shall we begin? Harrison asked, opening a file. We're here to discuss the settlement offer, Fletcher said, puffing out his chest. Mr. Prescott is willing to drop the suit for a cash payment of $50 million and a public apology. Madeline finally looked up. She let out a short, sharp laugh. 50 million? She asked. Harrison, did we miss a decimal point in their demand letter? I don't think so, Miss Van, Harrison said. Listen here, Fletcher started, blustering. My client has proof that you withheld asset information. Stop, Madeline said. She didn't shout. She just spoke with the weight of absolute authority. She slid a single piece of paper across the table. Do you know what this is, Liam? She asked. Liam looked at it. It was a photocopy of a document. It looked old. It's the prenup, Liam said, which is void because you lied. Read the appendix, Madeline said. Page 54, subsection D. Liam squinted. The undersigned party, Liam Prescott, acknowledges that the spouse, Madeline Van, is a beneficiary of the Van Family Trust and holds majority stakes in various entities, the specific value of which fluctuates. The undersigned waives the right to a full forensic accounting of these specific holdings in exchange for a lump sum payment of $500,000 upon dissolution of marriage, provided no infidelity clause is triggered. Liam froze. I never saw this page. You initialed it, Madeline pointed out. Right there. L.P. You were so eager to marry me, or rather, marry the safe girl who wouldn't challenge you that you didn't read the fine print. You just wanted to secure your freedom to act like a bachelor. But the infidelity clause, Fletcher stammered. Exactly, Harrison interjected. The $500,000 payout is void if Mr. Prescott commits adultery, which we have proven with receipts, photos, and witness testimony. So I get nothing? Liam asked, his voice hollow. That's your play? You drag me here to tell me I get nothing? Oh, no, Madeline smiled. I dragged you here to tell you what you do get. She nodded to Harrison, who pulled out a remote. A screen on the wall flickered to life. It was a video. A security camera feed. It showed Liam in his old office at Helix. 3 years ago, he was sliding a hard drive into his briefcase. That, Madeline narrating calmly, is you stealing the source code for our proprietary VFX rendering software. We noticed it went missing. We thought it was a corporate spy. But then, 6 months later, a rival studio released a strangely similar engine. The video cut to another clip. Liam meeting with a man in a parking garage, handing over an envelope. And that, Madeline continued, is you selling the casting list for Starbound to a tabloid before the official announcement. You made $50,000 on that tip. We lost $3 million in marketing momentum. Liam was shaking. How? How do you have this? I told you, Liam, Madeline said, her voice dropping to a whisper. I own the building. I own the security cameras. I own the servers. I saw everything. I just waited. I waited to see if you would ever stop. If you would ever choose me over your greed. She leaned forward. You never did. Harrison closed the folder. Mr. Prescott, this is evidence of industrial espionage, grand larceny, and theft of trade secrets. These are federal crimes. The FBI has already been notified. They are waiting in the lobby. The FBI? Liam stood up, knocking his chair over. You called the feds? I didn't want to, Madeline said. And for a second, her voice sounded sad. I really didn't. I wanted you to just walk away. I gave you a chance 2 weeks ago. I fired you. I let you keep your freedom. I thought, maybe he'll learn. Maybe he'll start over. She stood up, towering over him in her heels. But then you sued me, she said, her eyes hardening into diamonds. You tried to come for my company. You tried to come for my legacy. You forced my hand. Fletcher, the strip mall lawyer, was already packing his briefcase. I'm resigning as counsel. I can't be part of a criminal RICO case. Good luck, Mr. Prescott. Fletcher bolted out the door. Liam was alone with Madeline and her legal army. Madeline, Liam whispered. Tears were streaming down his face now. Please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was stupid. I was weak. Don't send me to prison. I won't survive. Madeline looked at him. She looked at the man she had shared a bed with for a decade. The man she had made lasagna for. The man she had hoped would one day grow up. You're right, Liam, she said softly. You won't survive prison. You're too soft. You need applause too much. Then help me, he begged. Please. I can't help you, Madeline said. But I can give you one piece of advice. The same advice you gave that young writer whose script you stole last year. She walked to the door. She put her hand on the handle and looked back one last time. Write a better story next time. She walked out. As the door closed, Liam heard the heavy footsteps of federal agents approaching from the hallway. 3 years later, the recreational room of the FCI Lompoc Federal Correctional Institution was silent, save for the static of the communal television. Liam sat in a cracked plastic chair, his once perfect hair now thinning and gray. He clutched a styrofoam cup of lukewarm coffee, his hands rough from months of assigned labor in the prison laundry. It was Oscar night. On the screen, the Dolby Theater erupted in applause. The camera swept over the crowd, passing A-list celebrities and directors, until it landed on a woman in the center aisle. And the Oscar for Best Picture goes to... The presenter paused for dramatic effect, opening the gold envelope. The Silent Partner. Produced by Madeline Van. Liam flinched, as if he had been struck. Madeline stood up. She wore a gold gown that shimmered like armor, a stark contrast to the invisible navy dress she had worn the night he betrayed her. She didn't look like the quiet housewife he remembered. She looked like a queen. She walked up the stairs, the train of her dress flowing behind her like liquid gold. She accepted the statue, the heavy weight of the industry finally resting in her hands. She leaned into the microphone, her face projected onto the massive screen in the prison rec room. Thank you, she said, her voice steady and clear. This film is about the people who build empires in the shadows, while others take the credit. It is for the quiet ones. To anyone who feels invisible, remember this: the world is watching. And sooner or later, the credits always roll. She's incredible. A younger inmate next to Liam grunted, leaning forward. Who is she? Liam stared at the screen. He saw the woman who had washed his shirts, the woman who had balanced his checkbook, the woman who had offered him the world, only for him to spit in her face. She was my wife, Liam whispered, his voice cracking. The inmate laughed, a harsh, mocking sound that echoed in the concrete room. He slapped Liam on the back hard enough to spill his coffee. Yeah, right, Hollywood. And I'm the Kit 3 of England. Change the channel, old man. Liam didn't move. He sat in the damp, gray prison, watching Madeline hold the golden statue high, a symbol of everything he had wanted, and everything she had achieved the moment she cut him loose. What a brutal way to find out you were the villain in your own story. Liam thought he was the main character, but he was just the obstacle Madeline needed to overcome to finally step into her power. It really goes to show that you should never mistake silence for weakness. And you definitely shouldn't bite the hand that feeds you, especially if that hand owns the company you work for. What do you think? Did Madeline take it too far with the federal charges? Or did Liam get exactly what he deserved for his arrogance and greed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story of karma and revenge, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.